friends, welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. My name is Hannah and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. How are you? It is June 23rd. I don't know how that happened. It's almost the end of June. You may notice I don't have a tiny co-host with me to do an intro. She is sleeping and I tried to record an intro with her because she's learned some new words and she was actually really excited. I said I was going to record a podcast and she ran to the garage and she said, light, because that's where I keep the podcast lights. And then the minute I turned the camera on, full meltdown, like dissolved into tears, had to be put to bed immediately. She has been so fussy today. And I don't know if it's because she might be getting sick or if because she's growing, she has been eating a ton, or she's just having some kind of developmental leap. But like, she has been like this on my face all day. She even wanted to snuggle before her nap, which is very abnormal for her. So she's just been really having a tough day. So when she dissolved into tears the minute I said, hi friends, on the podcast, I was like, okay, let's not push our luck. Also, today has just been full of nonsense. And by full of nonsense, I mean, not only have I had a very fussy baby, I have done 5 loads of laundry. And I have spent the majority of my morning trying to declog the drain in our shower, which has been quite a feat because the screw is stripped on the grate for the drain and I can't get it off. So we're gonna have to like drill that screw out. But in the meantime, the shower is not draining. I used Drano on it twice and flushed with boiling water. Nothing. Did not a single thing. So I found like some jewelry wire and like literally have been fishing out. So it's taken me, I spent a couple of hours declogging the drain. And then I got as much as I could possibly get out without removing the grate out so that it is draining. And I Dranoed it again and flushed with boiling water. So the water is going down. We're still gonna have to drill that screw out, but yes, that was very fun to do while the baby was like, please, I'm dying. Hold me, love me. I need help. Don't we all, sweet girl? Don't we all? So that has been my morning, declogging a drain and holding a baby and generally getting nothing done. And now it's noon, she's asleep and we have to podcast and I am very disorganized. I have nothing ready, but we are going to podcast anyways. The only thing I'll say is I don't have the prize winner pooled because today has been nonsense, but I will pull the prize by the next podcast episode, I promise. And it is a prize package of this giant project bag that has fairy tale books on it and 4 or 6 skeins of alpaca yarn inside, because alpaca is just kind of really making my skin sensitive. And so you can still enter. I'm just going to leave it open for another 2 weeks for the Cozy Summer Mal. That is a make along that we are running right now through the end of summer. I put a date of like the end of September, but we could go longer. And the point is to make something that you would wear in the winter. It must be a garment. It can't be a hat or socks or anything. It has to be a garment. Whips are totally allowed, but the reason for this is we're always making summer things in the summer and winter things in the winter, which makes sense, except we don't get to wear them. I make summer things and by the time I'm done with them, summer is over and I can't wear it for another 6 months. And I make winter things and winter is over and I can't wear it until winter time the next year. So we are preemptively just making something in advance. So if you have a garment that you have been dying to make or one that you've started that you would like to work on, go enter it into the Ravelry thread. Just comment with what you want to make. And I will randomly draw a winner in the next couple of weeks. You can enter it into the chatter thread and the link for the Ravelry group will be directly in the drop down below. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the podcast specifically, please shoot me an email. That is the best way to get a hold of me. My email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com, and I am The Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram and Facebook. Let's all take some deep breaths together, y'all. I don't know what kind of week you've had, but like, if it has been a lot, let's just de-stress, okay? Let's do 2 big, this is what Nova calls these dinosaur breaths. So we go. Just like force it out. Okay, one more. Shake it out. It feels good. Feels good. Now, I have been working on a lot of things. I have 3 crochet projects and I have 2 knitting projects that are not socks, and 3 pairs of socks. So I'm gonna start with the socks because those are easiest, and we will slowly get bigger from there because the projects get bigger themselves. I have a finished object. It's almost finished because I have not woven in the ends, but I made these socks out of Zauberball yarn, so colorway is some kind of lilac. This is how much I have left, and these were my kind of travel around socks, and they're finished. As you can see, there's still a stitch marker on one. So I haven't woven in the ends. Hopefully I will do that tonight, and then these can go in the laundry pile to be washed. If you are curious about how I take care of my socks, I literally just wash them and dry them in the washing machine. They get zero special precautions, other than I won't wash them in hot water. Warm water is fine, and I won't dry them on high heat, but I don't dry any of my clothes on high heat except like towels. So they go in the washer, regular cycle, and they go in the dryer, regular cycle, for with the rest of my t-shirts and clothes and Nova's clothes and things like that. So I don't have time to be hand washing socks. I don't have time to like separate my whites and darks currently. So y'all better believe I am not hand washing socks. If you can do that and you have space for that in your life, bless you, bless you. This is the socks. They're so pretty. This is the first one I did. So this is the start of the ball, and Zauberball is a 2-ply, and it's a gradient kind of color changing yarn, but the color pattern doesn't repeat. So it could just, it's like totally random. So it started here, and then you can see I put the heel in, and so it's kind of an abrupt shift right there. It goes all the way to the toe. And this is where it picks back up with the second sock, and it goes all like this. So you can see that this one is different. These are 2 completely different socks, but they definitely look like they belong together. They are sisters, not twins. And yeah, I think this is where I was last time. And my goal for the last 2 weeks was to actually just finish the foot. I didn't have a goal to finish the toe, but one night I didn't want to work on anything else, and I was just like, you know what, I think I can finish this toe in like a half an hour, and I did. So yes, they're delightful. And let me just tell you, because someone always wants to know, the way that I knit my socks currently, I used to always knit them toe up, but I'm on a top down, cuff down kit. I use ChowGoo 9-inch circulars. I know some people love DPNs, some people love Magic Loop, some people love 2 circulars. I personally, for me to want to knit socks, have to do it on a 9-inch circular. So I start up here, I cast on 64 stitches on 2.25 millimeter needles, and I do 15 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. That's just the ribbing that I like the most. I have tried 1x1 and 3x1, and I just don't like it as much. If I am knitting long socks like these are, I will knit until from here to here is 6 inches. I will knit from the top of the cuff 6 inches, and then I will insert a heel. I currently am loving the Shadow Wrap heel, which is by Denise, who is Earthtones girl. She has, if you Google Shadow Wrap heel, that pattern will pop up, and I highly recommend. She's also coming out with a Shadow Wrap toe pattern, which I'm interested in, although I don't love a wedge toe. My feet are kind of, I have fat toes. So my vanilla sock recipe has to have a rounded toe. It just makes everything better. So 6 inches, Shadow Wrap heel. I do all of this on 9-inch circulars. Then I knit from the beginning of, or the end of the heel to before I start the toe, 5.5 inches. Then I put in Mina's rounded toe from Mina's 2 at a time vanilla sock recipe. And Mina is the Knitting Expat. Both Denise of Earthtones Girl and Mina of the Knitting Expat have podcast channels on YouTube, and I highly recommend them. So that is it. And if I'm knitting a shorty sock, instead of doing 6 inches before I start the heel, I do 15 rounds of stockinette ribbing, or 15 rounds of ribbing and 15 rounds of stockinette, and then I start the heel. And I mostly knit shorty socks because I live in Florida. But for some reason, I just wanted these to be long. So yes, this is sock number 1 and sock number 2. Very excited about this. My sock mojo has somehow returned. It was mostly gone for all of 2020 and 2021. I think I knit like 2-3 pairs of socks total. And I've already finished a couple of pairs this year, which is pretty exciting. And they were living in my lovely Slip Stitch Studios sock bag. It has this gorgeous pin on it, which actually is hilarious because it has a crochet hook. And these are knitted socks. And this bag was a gift from my lovely friend Amy, and it's leopard print, which I love. So that's pair of socks number 1. Pair of socks number 2. I showed you last time that I had this much done, right? And you think, oh my gosh, you haven't done anything. This is the second sock, y'all. the second sock. So let me show you the yarn. And this is a sock set from Big Little Yarn Company. This is the colorway Matsumi, and this is the colorway Strawberry Jam. And so both of these are 75/25 merino nylon and 463 yards per 100 grams, or 92 yards per 20 grams. So this was a gift from my lovely friend Amanda. She sent me this sock set. And so last time I just literally had a couple rounds of the cuff done. I think, or maybe I was further than that. Gosh, 2 weeks seems like a really long time. Because I have a stitch marker on this, and now I'm like, did I have half the foot and the heel done on this? And I'm just lying to you that I only had the cuff done? Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Finished sock. I'm in love with these. This is so not my color palette. Like, I do not do muted earthy tones, and this is all muted earthy autumnal tones, and for some reason I'm in love with these socks. And yeah, so I did my 15 rounds of stockinette, or I did my 15 rounds of ribbing, 15 rounds of stockinette. I actually remembered to put in a contrast heel this time instead of zooming all the way to the toe. So I did a contrast shadow wrap heel, and then I did 5.5 inches of stockinette and the rounded toe. And when I get to the toe, I do have to switch to magic loop, because you can only decrease so many stitches on 9 circulars. So finished sock. And then of course, I immediately cast on another one, and then I haven't touched it in a week. So I literally have done the cast on and one more round. That's it. That's all I've done on this sock. But I'm really, really excited to have finished a pair of socks and another whole sock. Like, it's been a long time since I've had sock progress like that, so I'm really excited about it. But wait, there's more. Not much more. Not much more in socks. I barely have started one. So my travel socks were those Sauberball socks, and they have taken me months and months to complete because they just go with me wherever I go, and if I have time, I will put a couple of stitches on. Do you know why I got so much progress on those Sauberball socks? Because I took Nova to the Children's Museum last week on Wednesday, and she ran around. You can touch everything in the Children's Museum. It's made for kids to play with, and she didn't really need me. Like, she needed me to help her up and on off of stools and things like that, but like, she pretty much was occupied, and I just followed her around and knit on my socks for a straight hour, which was miraculous. So I've started a new pair, and the yarn that I'm using, this is Knit Pick Stroll in the colorway Forest Heather or Green Heather or something like that. I've had this yarn forever. And then I have this 2 balls of 50 grams each from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It is self-striping, and it's Jingle Jangle and Retro. So both of these are speckly stripe self-striping yarns. 80/20 superwash merino nylon. And so what I'm going to do is actually get 2 pairs of socks out of this. So this is the one I haven't started yet. This is pink, or like pinkish red, and white with green speckles. And this one is the one that I just started, and it is green with white and pink or red speckles. So I started it, and I've got a little bit of stockinette. I don't know how many rows this is, and I'm not going to bore you by counting, but I'm going to guess that that's like 9 or 10 rows, and I probably have another 5 or 6 rows to do before I start the heel. I think I am going to do a contrast heel as well, because I don't want to interrupt the stripe sequence, and I really personally dislike an afterthought heel. I don't know why I hate it so much, because I know some people love it and like have such good results with an afterthought heel. I just can't stand it. No idea why. But yeah, I have done the cuff and this much, which is really exciting. So exciting. So yes, so much sock progress, right? And if you think I have a problem, these are my sock bags. All from Slipped Stitch Studios, which I highly, highly recommend. If you've been around, you know that I recommend Slipped Stitch Studios bags. I use them exclusively for my sock bags. They are the perfect size. They are incredibly well made. I have had this one, I want to say, for 4 or 5 years now. It was a gift from Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. It has been with me around the world. I've had this one for several years, and other than this marking of pin from Nova, it's in perfect condition. And it's my travel project, goes with me everywhere. And then this one is brand new. This was a very recent gift, but I just love their bags so much. And they're still making bags. Actually, they were going to close, and like literally the community kind of rallied around them and supported them enough to not be able to close. They were going to stop making bags altogether, which I find so fabulous that people were like, no, like we need you to exist. Please exist. We will buy your merchandise. And that's just amazing to me. So I don't know what their future holds, but at the moment they are still making bags. Next, let's pause to inspect how Nova is sleeping. Oh, this sad baby. She's so sad today. I have instituted, I might have talked about this in the last episode, a kind of knitting meditation time in each morning. I used to, and by used to I mean like 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I would get up in the morning, and then any time before Nova woke up, from the time I woke up to Nova wakes up, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, I would scroll on Instagram on my phone, which I highly enjoy doing. However, I have found that it only adds to my anxiety, and it's not necessarily the information that I'm consuming, it's just that I'm consuming too much information right then. It's like overwhelming my nervous system. So I've put a ban on Instagram first thing in the morning. And what I've been doing instead is sitting at the kitchen table and knitting. My goal is to get 2 rounds on this hat done every day. I don't always get it. Like this morning I got half a round and she was awake. One morning this week I got 3 rounds, which was crazy. But I have noticed that it has really made a big difference in how anxious I am throughout the day. It hasn't like fixed everything, but definitely my morning anxiety has been a little lower because I'm having this kind of centering time. And so the project that I have been doing that for is a sockhead hat. I have made, this is going to be my 3rd sockhead hat. The sockhead hat is a free pattern by, I think, Kelly McClure. If you just Google it or look on Ravelry for sockhead hat, this hat had like tons of projects made. And the yarn that I am using was a gift from my lovely friend Lisa, and it's Ula+Lia yarn. There's still a couple of days left if you want to join the Kickstarter for Ula+Lia. They have their 30-day time frame to buy a huge fiber purchase, and if you get Kickstarter prices, it's going to be way different than once the yarn is all spun and they sell it on their website. So Ula+Lia is like sustainable Mongolian yarn. This particular skein is a skein of 100% cashmere in the colorway Crimson, and this was a gift from my friend Lisa. But last year I did participate in the Kickstarter, and it was like one of the only yarn purchases I made last year. I ordered from them 700 grams of 100% baby yak yarn and 700 grams of a wool yarn, and in a navy blue, and the yak yarn you will see because I'm making a cardigan out of it. It took forever because it's a Kickstarter. This is their 5th year doing it. So I think I ordered it in like the beginning or springtime last year, and I didn't get the yarn until January of 2021. Oh, I must have ordered it in 2020. Dang, did 2020 even exist as a year? I feel like anytime I'm telling time or like, oh yeah, this happened so many years ago, I skipped 2020 altogether. So I must have ordered it in 2020. It came in no. This is riveting podcast content. Okay, I ordered it in 2021 because Nova was born in 2020 and she was very small when I ordered it. So I ordered it in 2021. It came in at the beginning of 2022. And now the Kickstarter for 2022 is open, and we will get it by the end of the year. COVID caused a lot of delays last year, so the yarn was delayed multiple times. This year, hopefully that will not be an issue because most of the COVID restrictions are lifted everywhere. So I've been saving my pennies since last year because I have wanted to make a cashmere order, because this is the only time I'm ever probably going to be able to afford cashmere is to save in advance and get it on Kickstarter prices, which is like $30 a skein as opposed to $40 to $70 a skein, depending on where else you get it. So I will be getting some of that, but the Kickstarter still has a few days left if you want to join. All of that to say, I am not sponsored by them in any way. They haven't gifted me anything. They haven't asked for an endorsement. I just had such a good experience. And you literally follow the fiber from when it's brushed off the animals through the spinning process, through the dyeing process, and then all the way from Mongolia to America to be shipped out to you. And they ship worldwide. So it was just the coolest thing. You like get updates of like pictures of actual animals. It's so cool. And the yarn is such high quality. So this is the first time I've ever held cashmere. And I was like, I have to make a sockhead hat out of this. It's so pretty. This is where I was last time. I had done about an inch, and now I, just from mornings, 14-ish mornings in a row. I think 1 or 2 days did not work on this because the baby was up or I just couldn't manage it. But I managed to do all of this in 2 weeks just from working on it a couple of rows, 10 to 15 minutes in the morning. I don't have a measuring tape to see how long this is. You're supposed to do 4 inches of ribbing, I think. I've got to be getting close. I really should measure this, I think. I'm guessing this is like 3.5, but we'll see. So yeah, sockhead hat. Of course, I recommend the pattern, and it's a very meditative project. And when I finish that, I'm probably going to dig out another fingerings skein from my stash and start another sockhead hat because it's just the perfect pattern for me not to have to think about at all. And that's what I need when I am doing my morning non-Instagram time. Okay, I'm gonna go over the knitted sweater. I know I've been all knitting so far, but don't worry, I have crochet. I have 3 crochet projects that I've been working on, but I wanna do the knitted sweater first because that has got a lot of progress on it, and it's just so beautiful. I wanna show it to you. It's living in my giant bag. My very best friend in the world, Caitlin, made this for me years ago. And this is the bag that held the Skyrim cardigan for 2-3 years while it was being made. And the minute the Skyrim cardigan was done, I shoved another sweater project in here. And this one's going much faster. It will not take me 2 years to finish. So I am making the Darjeeling cardigan, which hopefully this is what it looks like. It's called the Darjeeling cardigan. It is a pattern by Knitting for Olive. It is a paid for pattern. It is a very well written pattern. I have had 0 questions about the instructions. I will say there is no schematic, so fair warning. I hate when patterns don't have a schematic. And there is 1 photo. That photo I showed you is the only photo in this pattern. So that is another pet peeve of mine. But if you can knit and do German short rows, this pattern will be a breeze for you. The construction is super interesting. The yarn I am making this out of is Ula+Lia from my Kickstarter last year, 100% yak fingering weight yarn. You get 430 yards for 100 grams. It is baby yak wool, antique ruby. Oh, and somebody asked me last podcast if I could show the crimson cashmere and the baby yak wool together. The camera tends to blow out this color of yarn. They are slightly different. I think you can kind of see, whoa! Oh my gosh, that was crazy. This one has a much more purple hue and this one has a much more reddish hue underneath. And like looking at them from far apart, they look almost identical, but when you put them up close together, you can see that this one's like lighter and more purpley and this one is redder. This is the crimson cashmere and this is the ruby yak. They are in the same color family. They are very similar, but they are not quite the same color. So hopefully that answers that question for you. So I'm holding that yarn double with, I don't have the ball band, but I have one right here. I'll take it out. I'm holding it double with Pearl Soho Tussock, which is 60% superfine kid mohair and 40% silk. You get 328 yards per 25 grams. I am almost done with my second ball of the tussock and I have 3 left. So I'm kind of worried that I'm gonna run out of mohair silk. Maybe not, I might not. I might have enough, but I just always think I'm gonna run out of yarn, and it worries me. I am only on, this is the second 100-gram ball of baby yak, and I'm like maybe 25 grams into it. It is mind-blowing how much of this sweater I got out of 100 grams. Like truly shocking. I couldn't believe it. And I will show you, in fact. So this, whoa. Try not to lose any stitches here. This is the sweater. As you can see, it has grown massively. Let me find where I joined the new yarn. I know I did it somewhere. Right here. So you see where this yarn is coming out? That's where I joined the new 100-gram ball of yarn. So everything from there up, front and back, was knit in 100 grams. I might have enough yarn left over at the end of this project to make like a t-shirt or something out of this same yarn. It's crazy to me. This is where I was last time, and I have knit all of this. That is a massive amount, and I do have a tape measure in here. Let me measure how much it is, because my goal was to knit 6 inches on this cardigan. I didn't know if I was gonna make it. Oh my gosh, that's exactly 6 inches. Literally exactly 6 inches I have knit, which is crazy. So let me put this on without losing stitches. This is a very precarious situation we find ourselves in, y'all. It's on kind of a small needle, smallish. There we go, smallish needle. It just barely comes around, so I don't want to pull it too hard, but this is the cardigan. So you can see it's like kind of like a V-neck. All of this was made with short row shaping. The construction is ingenious. And let me stand. So as you can see, I'm like right here. I don't know how many more inches I have to do. I think I have to get to like 24 or 26 inches or something from the top of the shoulder down. And then you do like 4 inches of ribbing. So I can tell you. Work even until the back measures 24 3/4 inches. And then you change needles and you work 4 inches. That was right. 4 inches in ribbing. Let's see if I can get this off. I love this. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let me see if I can get a general measurement of where I am. This won't be exact because of course it's laying in my lap, which is lumpy and bumpy, but I'm at I'm about 19 inches-ish. Let's call it 19. So I have another almost 6 inches to go. Probably, maybe a little more than that. I really need to like lay this out completely flat, but I just love the texture. I love the fabric it's creating. It is, you can see the halo on it from the mohair. This is going to be a classic wardrobe piece for years and years and years. And because it's worked on I have 5.5 millimeter needles in this, and it's fingering weight held with mohair. It is going really fast. It still takes me a while, mind you, to do a row, but it is nothing like the Skyrim cardigan. A reasonable goal on the Skyrim cardigan would have been like 2 inches of knitting. So yeah, that's the Darjeeling cardigan. I'm just very excited about it. And I think that's gonna be my main focus on knitting until it's completed. And then y'all saw my temporary insanity of projects from the last time. I don't really wanna have more than one knitted garment on the go at a time. So the Cozy Classic Raglan will be next, but only when that one's done. Now, crochet. I'm gonna start with the crochet sweater. I have very exciting crochet sweater news. The DK version of the granny stripe cardigan pattern is with testers right now. This will be released at the beginning of September. I have an official release date. It's the beginning of September. My testers will be done at the end of August, and then of course it will go off tech editing, and I have to do the doobly-doo in Ravelry and Payhip and all the things, but it will be released at the beginning of September, just in time for the weather to get a little bit cooler for everyone, and I am so delighted that I have testers for every size, and so far they're having a really great time, except there was one glaring typo. This is why you get your patterns tested. In the gauge. God, what? God forbid. I double checked this pattern in every way possible, and still I managed to write down that it was 11 rows per 4 inches instead of the actual amount, which was 9 rows. That is a big difference. And the testers were like, this is not working. Yes. So bless for all of the testers that I have. So that's sweater news number 1. Sweater news number 2 is I have been making lots of progress on my Obsidian cardigan, which is a pattern that I would love to be writing up as well. It is living in this gorgeous mustard wax canvas bag that I got from Faye, who has the Crochet Circle podcast, is a delightful person, and has Providence Craft Co. She's from the UK. I am making this out of Holstgarn Super Soft yarn. Super soft is a misnomer. This yarn is not super soft. It is not soft at all, in fact, but it is super. It is a light fingering weight yarn. It is non-superwash wool. It has tons of spinning oil on it. So like every time I work on this, I have a black stripe across my finger. All of that will come out when you wash it. But because it's non-superwash, I really appreciate that it has spinning oil in it, because I could frog it if I need to. Whereas once this is washed, it is never coming undone. Not ever. So this is where we are. Ta-da! And this is where I was last time, where this stitch marker is. So I have done all of that. My goal was to get 6 inches on this cardigan as well. I did not, I guarantee you, I didn't get 6 inches on this. Let me see if I can find my tape measure. Nope. And to tell you how many inches I got on this, I'm gonna guess 4. This one, of course, is in light fingering weight, so it takes much longer, and 1 row takes me like at least 25 minutes. Exactly 4 inches. I am getting really good at estimating distance, y'all. So 4 inches is what I have done on this. I am actually at 27 inches from the top of the shoulder to the bottom, and I need to look at my grading sheet from 2 years ago and make sure that I don't need to start the bottom border, because I'm pretty sure I need to start the bottom border like really soon. This is what it looks like so far. I'm gonna stand up. It is, oh yeah, I definitely need to start the bottom border because it's right below my butt, which is where I wanted it to be. Let's see. I don't know if I can get over on the couch. There we go. So you can see it's like right there. I maybe will add another inch. I like a long cardigan, although I do kind of want to do a significant amount of ribbing at the bottom, not 4 inches, but maybe 3 inches. And 3 inches would be more than enough. So, and this is not going to grow at all because this is non-superwash yarn. It's just going to get fluffy and fill in. So I have to do a think before I proceed any further on this yarn. On this yarn. With the yarn on this cardigan. But I am either done with the body except for the ribbing, or I need to do a tiny bit more. So as you can see, we have ribbing like that goes all the way across the back and down the shoulders, and then we have this kind of lacy pattern. There's going to be ribbing at the bottom, and then there will be a ribbed neckband as well, which is exciting. And this looks, you can see kind of, it looks like a little bit spider webby. It's like rough spider web almost. It's going to fluff up and fill in. It's still going to be a lace pattern, but it's not going to look exactly like that. The only way I can describe or explain is like, you have to do it. Like if you don't know about non-superwash yarn, once you block it, it makes a world of difference. So 4 whole inches on this is very exciting news to me. It means my goal is to keep working on this until it's done. I really want this to be finished. I did not touch my last array sweater in the last 2 weeks. I just didn't have the brain space for counting. But I did a lot of work on that, which is exciting. 2 more crochet projects, y'all. We're 34 minutes and I'm still talking about projects. This has been a great couple of weeks for crochet and for knitting. I last time asked if y'all would be interested in a corner to corner join as you go pattern for little squares. And a resounding number of you said yes. I have a follow-up question. I can totally make this pattern work. There is a pattern that exists for a corner to corner join as you go already, but it's not in fingering weight. So it's not like it's not made to be a scrappy blanket in a sense. So this would be kind of different. And then there's a few patterns that are corner to corner squares, but they're not really join as you go. You just use bobbins. But this is my question. Do you care if all the little pieces are facing the right way? And what I mean by that is this right here. So this one is upside down. And the way you can tell is these are facing, this is the bottom of the stitch and this is the top, okay? But on this square, the same thing, this is the bottom and this is the top, so this is flipped. It's possible to make every single square line up so that, like if you have a ladder like this going up the blanket, that every single square will have that same ladder. However, if you do that, you have to start each square at an exact point. So you would be making these in strips. So you would be like 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, 5 squares, and then you would be adding another strip. The reason I don't love that is because my goal is actually just to have a blanket that you can work on and make as big as you want. Like if this is my first square, cool, added one, maybe I make a 4 and then I add some over here. And then I decide that I had another scrappy ball and I want to add a square down here. I didn't want this to be the first bottom left corner of the square, of the whole blanket. I want to start adding on this side. In my pattern, you will be able to do that, but they're not going to match exactly, meaning the ladder of stitches, some will be upside down like I just showed you. So these are exactly the same, but this one is flipped. You can't tell from back here. It's not possible. You can't tell. To me, that is not a big deal at all. Like I could care less if this square is technically upside down. But do you care is my question. Because my goal with this pattern would be, I want to give you instructions to make 1 square and then to join on any side. So if I want to join it down here, there's instructions on that side. If I want to join over here, there's instructions on this side. If I want to join right here, so you have to be attaching to both of them, then there's instructions for that. If I want to join down here, there'd be instruction for that. So there's instructions on adding in any area, in any direction, is what I would like to do. But I just need to know if you care. I need to know if you care if squares are flipped upside down or they don't exactly match the ladder of stitch pattern. Because I would not care about that at all. I don't think you can tell unless you get intensely close to it and you know what you're looking for. That's how you can tell. But I don't think any regular person would be able to tell at all. So let me know what you think. Please comment below and let me know what you think. Because I've added this square. Actually, I don't even know which one I started with. I think I started with this and then added this and then added this one. And then I need to add one up here and I need to add one down here. And once I add those squares, I will then be able to write up the pattern. So tell me your thoughts, please. I'm dying to know. These are all just rando scraps of yarn. A lovely viewer of this podcast named Rochelle sent me a bunch of little 10-gram minis. And like this was a 10-gram mini, and I bet you I have half of it left. That was this one. Let's see what I have left over here. There's a whole little baggie of them, and I have a few more of them actually in the back. This was a 10-gram mini, and for some reason I think it was maybe less than 10 grams because there's less of this one left. And then this was this one. So this scrappy blanket, I want to say uses about approximately 5 to 6 grams per square. Of course, you could make the squares any size you want. You could make them like this big and have itty bitty ones, or you could make giant squares. It would be up to you. But my goal would be to use like 5 or 6 grams per square. So yeah, let me know what you think. Finally, the last crochet project I have is a new project that you have not seen. You did see the yarn for it once upon a time. This was actually the yarn I was originally planning on using for the Belong wrap, which is my 6-color rainbow pattern that I released for Pride. And of that pattern, 20% of the proceeds will be donated to Different Church, which is a fully inclusive community. And actually, we're walking in the Pride Parade this week in St. Pete, and we will be at the party the next day, the Grand Central Street Festival. We will have a booth, and it's just a really great thing to do. I'll talk more about that in a second. But anyways, this was the yarn I was originally going to use for the Belong wrap. And I just decided I wanted the yarn, I needed bigger yarn because this is fingering weight. And so I've had the idea for this shawl in my mind for quite some time, and I finally just sat down and started it because it's such an intuitive, like easy pattern. It's very rhythmic, and whoa! How many times? I drop something literally every podcast episode, and today I've dropped 2 things. Question is, how many will I drop total? It's living in my Feminist Knit Club bag. This is from Nerdbird Makery. I have a pin on it that says Mischief Manage. This yarn, let me see if I can find the tag. This is Ice Yarns. I don't have a colorway name for you because Ice Yarn puts it on like the bag and they just like don't repeat all their colorways. So it's their hand-dyed sock yarn in 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, 100 grams, 400 meters. I have 4 of these. It's like a cream with pinks and browns. And this is how much I've left of the first ball. I want this to be huge. So I'm planning on using at least 3 of these fingering weight skeins, maybe 4 total. I want this to be a massive shawl. This yarn was a gift a long time ago now from my lovely friend Amanda, and I just knew that I wanted to make a giant shawl with it, and I'm finally making it, which is exciting. So this is what we have so far. It is delightful. So I started down here. As you can see, it's slowly increasing, and actually the texture panel, I maybe should have chosen a solid yarn because it's hard to see from far away. But what we have here is solid stitches, and then we have these little rows, and they look like almost knit stitches on top. And then we have a solid panel, and then we have these little rows. So you can see that there's a textural difference. This will show up in a non-speckled yarn better. I wasn't really considering that, but this is how far I've gotten. Half a ball of yarn. You can see the edge is not perfectly straight because of the texture, but it will block out perfectly. And it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and each row will take longer and longer, and it's eventually going to be the most massive shawl, which I want. I want a giant, massive shawl. I've never used Ice hand-dyed sock yarn before, even though I have some in my stash, so I'm excited to have used it. It is not incredibly soft. And actually what I would say is it reminds me a little bit of opal. Now I've only used opal sock yarn once to make a pair of socks, and it's a rough feeling, but it also feels kind of velvety on your finger is the only way I can describe it. And it must be the lanolin or something in this particular type of wool that's used for opal and for this, because it has a little bit of a scratch factor, but when you're crocheting or knitting with it, I feel like it just makes my fingers feel more moisturized, if that makes sense. So there must be like a higher lanolin content in this yarn. I'm not sure. So I'm really enjoying working with it. And this is my stitch marker. It's not marking how far I've come, because you didn't see this at all last time. It's actually marking the end of my textured section because I have a certain number of rows to work and I was tired of going back and counting. So yeah. That is a giant shawl that will probably take forever to complete, but I'm excited to have it started, and I really wanted a kind of mindless autopilot crochet project on the go that I can pick up, and I worked on that last night for probably an hour because I haven't had any mindless crochet projects recently, and therefore I've been turning to knitting socks, which is fine. I like knitting socks, but I want to crochet a little more than I have been, I think. So I needed something that doesn't require brain power that I can do at night. Oh, I'm tired. That was all of the yarn content. I have one acquisition to show you and then some doobly-doo life stuff to tell you as well. The one acquisition I want to show you is a book. It is called Simple and Natural Soap Making by Jan Berry. This book I got on Amazon. I did some research on what would be a really, really beginner-friendly book for soap making. It has all kinds of recipes in here. I have gotten all the supplies I need for soap making, and I will be vlogging my soap making journey over on my Patreon. I've already uploaded one that has all of the supplies, and next week my plan is to make my first batch of soap. Some of you know, since I've had Nova, my skin has always been sensitive, but since Nova has popped out of my body, my skin has been insanely sensitive. Like, to the point where I couldn't use the body wash I was using anymore. My skin is just dry and itchy all the time, in spite of using like a hypoallergenic moisturizing body wash. So I've switched to using goat's milk soap that I order online. But it's still not perfect, the perfect recipe for me, although it's much better. So I would like to make my own soap, and my plan is to make 3 batches. One that is completely plain unscented, one that is that same recipe with vanilla scent, and one that has coffee scent. And I ordered some vanilla and coffee scent to go in it. The thing that's hard for me about soap making, I mean, I've never made soap, so probably the whole thing will be hard, but is the time frame. You have to be so patient, and patience is not my strong suit. And you might be like, oh my gosh, but you knit and crochet. Like, that is such a slow craft. What do you mean you're not patient? Yes, but I can see progress. Like, every day I can be like, oh, I worked on that for 10 minutes and I grew a tiny bit. You can't do that with soap making. Once you make the soap, you pour it in the mold, you let it sit for like a day or two, you cut it into soap bars, and then they have to cure for 4 weeks. Some of them longer. They have to just be in the air, sitting on a tray, doing nothing except evaporating some extra water. You can technically use them after the first 48 hours, but they won't last very long, and the soap won't be like hard like a soap bar because there'll be too much water in there. So they have to cure for 4 weeks. So I will be making, hopefully, my first batch of soap next week, and I won't know if it's any good or if I can use it until the end of July. Already I find that highly irritating, but I'm going to try it anyways. So it's my soap making journey. This book has all kinds of interesting soap, like pumpkin oatmeal soap, milk chocolate mint soap, dandelion soap, beeswax. They have how to do goat milk soap in here. They have cucumber and charcoal. Just all kinds of really good information in here. And I'm not really interested, at least at the moment, in making any of the really fancy soaps. And by fancy, I mean, let me find one to show you, because there's one in here that I was like, whoa, this. That's called the Beach Bum Layered Soap. I'm not really interested in making that. I don't think this is something I want to dedicate tons and tons of time to, although who knows, maybe I'll get really passionate about soap making. I really just want a basic, gentle recipe on my skin that I can use every day and my skin won't be itchy. And a lot of the soap making books don't have like these really basic recipes in them. They have these super fancy like sparkles and sugar scrub soap bars and shampoo bars and nonsense, which is fine, but I want a basic recipe. So this has a whole chapter titled The Simplest Basics. There is the easiest ever Castile soap, which is a pure olive oil soap. That one takes 4 months to 6 months to cure, which is crazy. There is a Bastille soap, which is a olive oil and coconut oil blend. There is one that has shea butter in it. There's a pure coconut oil bar. And then the one that I will be making, basic palm-free soap recipe. 3 customizable versions. I will be making the version that is vegan with no butter in it. So the ingredients are, of course, lye, water, coconut oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, and castor oil, and then essential oil or scent if you want. I want to make that soap bar. That is a basic recipe. I do not need to make a soap right now that has things such as white kaolin clay powder, kokum butter, rice bran oil. Like, I don't need that. So this book is so informative. I read the whole chapter on how to make soap, etc., etc. So I highly recommend if you're interested in learning about soap, and I will report back in a month once I have actually made some. And you can follow along on Patreon if you want to see the soap making adventure. That is all the creativity. I do have some life stuff to tell you. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who commented and liked and subscribed from the last episode. There was a huge bump in view counts on the last episode specifically, and I just really appreciate that. Last episode I talked about how that people are not even subscribers to my channel. They can't like find my channel or access the content I'm picking up. I don't know why. YouTube has just decided that that's how it's going to be. And so many of you commented and said, I'm still getting your notifications every 2 weeks. And then there were so many more of you also that commented and said, I haven't seen you pop up in months. I have actually searched for you and not found you. So that's like crazy to me. And it's been since Vlogmas, which I talked about that at length last time. But I just want to say thank you, because since the last podcast episode, it was viewed much more. And also there's been like so many new faces here, which is like really delightful that you've come to spend some crafty time with me. So thank you so much. Sorry, there's a bug in here. Must kill the bug. It's going to bite me. Thank you so much for joining me and for liking and commenting and subscribing. Like, that's just wonderful that you would take your time to do that. It's been a huge help, specifically in the last 2 weeks. And thank you very much to Cinnamon Stitches, who did a shout out. And like so many of you came over from Cinnamon Stitches, which I am just delighted about. Welcome. Thank you so much for that shout out. That's just really lovely of you to do that on your channel when you didn't have to. That means a lot to me. So thank you. This week is very busy. This week is the busiest week I've had in months. I've had a meeting every single day. On Tuesday night, I stayed up way past my bedtime for the best reason of all, seeing the Backstreet Boys in concert. What had happened was I and my best friend and a couple of other girls had bought tickets to see the Backstreet Boys 3 years ago. We bought them way before COVID. It was supposed to happen in June of 2020. Obviously, it got canceled because of COVID. Then me and my best friend were both pregnant. So we've had babies. We were fully pregnant, had the baby, and now our babies are both 18 months old. And the concert just happened. So it was rescheduled for 2021, and then it was rescheduled for 2022. So we've been waiting 3 years to go to this concert. We both actually forgot about it entirely because they kept postponing and postponing. And last week, they sent an email and they were like, hey, the concert is Tuesday at 7:30. And if you can go, you better go, because there's no refunds on these tickets. And we were like, oh my gosh, like you couldn't have told us like a couple of weeks ago. So we all scrambled, we all rearranged our schedules, and we went to the Backstreet Boys concert because there's no way I'm missing this. I never got to see them as a teenager. They made my teenage dreams come true. It was a great show. I did not get in bed till 12:30, which is a solid 3 hours past my bedtime, y'all. So that was Tuesday. Yesterday was Wednesday. Yesterday sucked a lot, but I don't regret it. It was worth it. Not only to have a night off and like go to dinner and go to a concert with some delightful people, but just to have this like life goal of seeing the Backstreet Boys fulfilled. They did 5 outfit changes. I was hoping for 3. They did 5 outfit changes and some jacket changes on top of that. They are all like 40 now. So, but like I'm 33, so it's fine. It was really endearing. They had a video, one of their videos that they played had like all of their wives and their families, which was really nice. And I just love the Backstreet Boys because they, like, so much stuff goes down by musicians, and like no one's ever accused them of like raping anybody. No one's ever like been like, hey, they like Me Too'd me. No one has ever been like, they're crazy doing cocaine off of people. Like, they don't have any of that drama. They stay out of drama pretty much. And for 30 years, they've been making this boy band music, and they played all their hits and they played some new stuff, and it was the most magical. It was so delightful. I was so excited to have gone. And I'm still tired. I'm still tired from staying up too late on Tuesday, but it was 1000% worth it. So I saw the Backstreet Boys. Yesterday was a very busy day. today Nova has been so clingy and fussy. And of course I've been declogging the bathroom drain all day, which is certainly that is my idea of a good time. It's everyone's idea of a good time, right? And now I'm recording this podcast and I have to edit it and get it uploaded. My mom is coming over tonight. We have our Thursday night trash TV time, which started years ago, like 6 years ago, I want to say. My husband started playing tennis every Thursday night with his friend, and they still do this. And I would just sit on the couch and watch the TV that he didn't want to watch because he was playing tennis and I was watching TV. And eventually this person's wife started coming over and we would watch trash TV together. And then one other friend joined us. And then my mom comes over usually on Thursday nights and stays to watch Nova on Friday mornings. And so now there's 4 of us and we all watch trash TV together. Currently, we are watching America's Next Top Model. No, we finished America's Next Top Model, one of their seasons, and now we're watching Project Runway, one of the older seasons. And we just also finished Is It Cake on Netflix, which is a mind-blowing show that I highly recommend. So yes, that's tonight. Tomorrow I will be frantically working because it's Friday, trying to get everything ready for the weekend and for Sunday. Friday night I have a wedding. Saturday is the Pride Parade, which different churches walking in. And it's gonna be real hot. And Sunday is, of course, church. And then after church, the Grand Central Street Festival in St. Pete, which different church has a booth at so church is at 10:30. We're having a booth at the event from 11 to 5. So I will be leaving my house at like 7 a.m. Sunday morning, and I will be home around 6 p.m. Sunday night. And by Monday, I'll be dead. I don't know, like this is crazy. But it's going to be really, really good. I am happy to be part of events, especially Pride events in St. Pete, because St. Pete has a fairly large LGBT plus population, but also it's just a statement of like, I literally do not care if we gain one member of our church from this. We are making this statement and we are walking in the parade because that's what God is like to me. That's what God is like, pure love and acceptance. And for our LGBT plus members, I want it to be very clear where we stand, which is open and acceptance and inclusive of everyone and affirmation of all people. And also, there are so many churches that have done so many harmful things, and I just want to stand against that. And I know it's a drop in the bucket. I think there's one other church in the parade. It is the largest parade in Florida, one of the largest parades on the southeast, the whole eastern seaboard. And I've lost my train of thought because my husband is sneaking behind the camera. This is real life, y'all. There's going to be so many people. And the last time we had this parade was in 2019, before different church started. But hundreds of thousands of people come to this. Like hundreds of thousands. And the fact that there are 2 churches in this parade breaks my heart. Like, so we may just be a drop in the bucket of what is needed. But if we're only a drop in the bucket, we're going to make the biggest splash we can. And so, yeah, I'll be in the parade and we'll then be out all day Sunday, and I will be exhausted and probably sunburnt on Monday and need a nap. And of course, I won't get one because Nova will be like, hello, in my face. Pause for a Nova sleeping baby break. So yeah, that's a lot. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I have been talking for an hour straight. It's almost 1 p.m. I have to clean this up. She's probably going to be awake at 1:30, I would guess. So is it possible that I can get this airdropped to my computer and edited by 1:30 p.m. so it can be uploading before she wakes up? I don't know. I truly don't know. I have so much more laundry to do. I don't know. So thanks for being here, y'all. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in the last episode. Please comment below. Again, hit the like button, share with your friends, because YouTube has decided that this podcast does not need to reach anyone. But if you think it should be reaching anyone, especially you, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share with whoever, whenever, wherever, and I will just be eternally grateful to you. And and I will see you in 2 weeks. And until I see you in 2 weeks, have the best time. Have the best end of June. Happy Pride. Happy regular people having wonderful times days. And be kind to yourself. Bye, friends.